Welcome everyone! Today we're jumping into an absolutely brilliant story from the Jataka Tales. These are amazing stories about the Buddha's past lives. And this one is a double feature, a pair of mysteries that show us why, when you're facing a really tricky problem, you don't need a sword, you need a sage.
This ancient verse just sets the stage perfectly. It's basically saying that for every situation, there's a right person for the job, right? A big crisis might call for a hero to rush in, but a complex problem, a real head-scratcher, that requires a totally different set of skills. It calls for wisdom, and that's exactly what our story is about.
All right, so our first story kicks off in the court of King Kosala. Everything seems to be going just fine, but a mystery is about to drop that's going to throw the entire palace into chaos.
So here's the setup. The women in the royal palace feel like they're missing out. The Buddha is teaching nearby, and they want to learn too. So they ask the king for a teacher, and they specifically request the Venerable Ananda, who is famous for his incredible wisdom. So he becomes this regular, trusted teacher inside the palace.
And then, bam, disaster strikes. The king's most precious jewel, his crest jewel, just vanishes. Poof, gone. The whole palace goes on lockdown, and the search is on. The tension is just off the charts. Who could have possibly taken it?
So how do the king's men handle it? Well, they go in with brute force. They round up everybody, from the ladies-in-waiting to the servants. They start grilling everyone. And this creates this horrible atmosphere of fear and suspicion. You've got innocent people who are absolutely terrified, and they are no closer to finding the jewel. This is that hero approach to a sage's problem, and it's failing, big time.
And that brings us to the big question. The whole place is in an uproar, people are miserable, and this heavy-handed investigation has found absolutely nothing. There has to be a better way, right? A way to find the truth without hurting anyone else. How would you solve this?
This is the moment the wise Ananda steps in. He sees all the suffering, and he tells the king, look, there's a way to find the jewel without hurting a single person. And his method, well, it's pure psychological genius.
The plan is just so simple and elegant, it's incredible. This isn't an interrogation. It's a test of conscience. He tells the king to put a big pot of water behind a curtain. Then every single person in the palace has to go in, one by one, wash their hands, and come back out. That's it. So simple, so quiet, and absolutely brilliant.
So think about it from the thief's perspective. They are cornered. They know this wise monk, Ananda, is not going to give up. But his plan, it offers them an escape hatch. It's a way to give the jewel back without admitting guilt, without anyone ever knowing who it was. So when it's their turn, the thief slips behind the curtain and, plink, just lets the jewel drop into the water.
And just like that, the mystery is solved. After everyone has had their turn, the guards check the pot, and there it is, the crest jewel. The king is ecstatic, of course, but more importantly, you can just feel this massive sigh of relief from the entire palace staff. They're all cleared, all free from suspicion, thanks to Ananda choosing wisdom over force. But wait, the story's not over, not by a long shot. When the other monks start praising Ananda for how clever he was, the Buddha just smiles. He says, this isn't the first time Ananda's spirit has shown this kind of insight. And then he tells them a story from a long, long time ago.
Okay, so let's wind the clock way, way back. We're in ancient Benares now. The king is named Brahmadatta, and his most trusted advisor is the Bodhisattva, which of course is the Buddha in a past life. And just like Ananda, he's the court's go-to sage whenever a problem pops up.
And what do you know? It's another royal theft. The queen is bathing in the garden pond. She takes off this priceless pearl necklace and hands it to her handmaiden, but the handmaiden just nods off for a second, and when she opens her eyes, the necklace is gone.
So the guards start searching, and they spot this poor guy who gets spooked by all the commotion and starts to run. Big mistake. They grab him, assuming he's the thief. Under the threat of a beating, the poor man panics and falsely confesses. But then, to save his own skin, he says, I already gave it to the city merchant.
And this is where things just spiral out of control. It shows you how fear creates chaos. The merchant gets arrested, so he blames the royal priest. The priest, in turn, blames the court musician, and the musician points the finger at a famous courtesan. All of a sudden, you have 5 totally innocent people locked up, each one blaming the next. It is an absolute mess. So now the Bodhisattva has an even bigger challenge on his hands. It's not just a jewel, it's 5 people's lives on the line. This chain of lies has tangled everything up. How in the world is he going to cut through all this confusion and find out what really happened?
And once again, this isn't a job for a hero with a sword. It's a job for a sage with a sharp mind. So the Bodhisattva takes charge of the investigation.
The Bodhisattva just stops and thinks logically. The garden was completely sealed. No human could have gotten in or out with that necklace. So he reasons, if the thief wasn't human, what else lives in the garden? And his eyes turn up to the trees. He suspects the real thieves are the garden's own mischievous monkeys.
And what comes next is another masterclass in psychology, this time using animal nature. The Bodhisattva tells his men to make a bunch of fake necklaces and bracelets out of shiny, sticky tree sap. Then they catch all the monkeys in the garden, deck them out in this fake jewelry, and just let them go.
You can just picture what happens next, right? All the monkeys are running around, chattering, showing off their new bling. All of them, that is, except one. The actual thief, a female monkey who had stashed the real necklace in a hollow tree, sees all this, and she gets jealous. Overcome with vanity, she basically thinks, why are they showing off that junk, and puts on the real, magnificent pearl necklace to show everybody who's boss.
The guards, who were watching this whole time, spot it immediately. They make a loud noise, the monkey gets startled, drops the necklace, and scurries away. The real necklace is recovered, the truth comes out, and those 5 innocent people are immediately set free. The sage's wisdom wins again.
And this brings us right back to where we started. Both of these stories show it so clearly. When the problem was a mystery, brute force and accusations just made everything worse. It was the calm, clever, and compassionate thinking of a sage that brought the truth to light and restored peace.
And now for the final beautiful twist that ties it all together. The Buddha reveals that the king in that old story, the one with the monkey and the necklace, was none other than Ananda in a past life. And that wise advisor, the Bodhisattva, that was the Buddha himself. The same spirit of wisdom flowed through them both, separated by lifetimes, but completely united in how they solved problems.
What these stories remind us is that the greatest strength isn't always physical force. Sometimes it's insight, empathy, and clever thinking. And that's a lesson that's just as valuable today as it was all those lifetimes ago. Thank you for joining us. May you all be happy.